Hi, my name is Matt Numrich, and today we're going to cover what we call sparring concepts. Now, we're going to take this from the training realm, but I want you to always think, how does this apply to the street? Remember, we're just not training to train, we're training for real life. And that's so important for you guys to remember here, is because it's not about just always putting on gear and always making sure everything is nice and pretty. We need to make sure that we translate all these concepts, all these techniques to how they apply and how they fit into real life. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to review what we've done in previous videos by focusing on 5 main concepts. The first concept that we have here is what we call the interception. Now, if you remember, we went ahead and we kind of drew this little bit of a triangle. I'm going to kind of get into why I use this kind of illustration. But at the top right here, we have what's called the interception. The interception right here is doing one thing. You are going ahead and inflicting pain as the person is coming in and attacking you. Now, I want to go ahead and give examples of techniques, but I want you to really be careful with this. There are several ways that we can illustrate the interception, just like there's several ways that we can illustrate any of these concepts. I'm just going to give you guys techniques to use as examples. If you want to use other techniques to accomplish the exact same concept, please do. The two ones that I really like right here is I'm just going to kind of put off to the side is what's called an eye jab and a groin kick. So if I have Mark come out here, if he goes ahead and let's say feeds a punch, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and just intercept by using this quick little eye jab. We've covered eye jabs in previous videos. All I'm doing is flicking my fingers right in someone's eyes. The reason I like the eye jab, just like I said before, is that regardless of how big he is, how strong he is, how talented he is, once again, you poke somebody in the eyes, you're gonna get a reaction. So I like the eye jab. The other technique that we have right here is a groin kick. So he comes in here and I simply just go ahead and pop him in the groin. But we're doing so in an intercepting way. Now, what do I mean by this? This is the one concept that I'm probably gonna dive into a little bit deeper because not only is it misunderstood, but I wanna make sure that people kind of grasp the full kind of picture of what and how and why we intercept. So we talked about the concept, we talked about the techniques, but I'm gonna write one more thing off to the side right here. And this is pretty much the timing or the places in time that we can intercept. We can intercept either after someone's attack, during someone's attack, or before their attack. What do I exactly mean by this? Well, if I bring Mark out here, if we're talking about intercepting after the attack, he throws a punch and I go ahead and pop him right after. As his attack pulls back, that's when I'm going ahead and popping in the eyes. That is intercepting after. I can do the exact same thing with the groin kick. If he goes ahead and feeds a punch, I step back, boom, and I fire right here, that's fine, okay? That's still intercepting via after. Now, if I go ahead and I hit it during is a little bit more interesting once we hit the high line, so let's work on the low line first. If Mark feeds a punch, okay, boom, this is during. As that punch extends, then I'm kicking him in the groin. If I decide to use a high line tool up against his high line tool, I might have to use a little bit of footwork, maybe a little bit of parrying or something like that to work around the punch. So if he feeds right here, maybe I pad off right here to go ahead and strike him during his attack. So we go ahead and we have after the attack, we have during the attack, and now we have before the attack. Before the attack means is that once he gets into my area, I'm just simply intercepting him. It's extremely proactive and it is preemptive. If you've seen me in a previous video, maybe draw a little bit of a circle, okay? And that's our perimeter. Once somebody steps in that perimeter, then we go ahead and we intercept that, okay? That is a great example of before the attack. So we have 3 different times that we can go ahead and intercept. We can intercept either after the attack, during the attack, or before the attack. These are just examples of techniques. And the reason why I'm kind of explaining this, because if you did not see the video, you might be a little bit lost. Hopefully this will kind of catch up as far as that goes. So we have the interception, that's the first kind of concept. The second concept is we have the destruction. Now, when we talk about destroying or using the concept of destruction, all we're doing is we're inflicting a shot of pain as the person comes in here and fires in their punch. I'm just using that limb as a target, all right? The easiest way to go ahead and use a destruction is when he punches, I just simply have that punch run into the tip of my elbow. So as I go here, pop, that's all I'm looking for. He moves 3 feet, I make a 3-inch adjustment. That's all we're doing here. This arm is bisecting my face, I'm bending my elbow, and this is the result, okay? If we go ahead and we use the low line destruction, he can go ahead and feed a groin, boom, I go ahead and I pick up my heel. That's the little secret behind this. I'm not picking up my whole leg, so we go shin to shin. I wanna make sure that we cheat. I wanna use my knee up against his shin. Why? It's so much more painful for him than it is to me. So he goes ahead and he feeds, boom. Or if he feeds this roundhouse, I pick up the heel by pick it up to the inside. Once again, my knee making contact with his shin right here. He'll do that again, pop. So we have the groin, knee destruction, okay, all right, to go ahead and take care of that. So we have the high line being taken care of by the elbow. We have the low line being taken care of by the knee. We have the interception, destruction. What is the next concept? The next concept here is what we call the entry. Now, when we talk about the entry, I like to really, I'm gonna go back here and just talk about the elbow destruction before I go here, and then also the knee destruction. The two concepts I like to work through here is the straight blast and also what I just call a lockup. Now, the straight blast, if you haven't checked out our straight blast video, please do so. I really get into that in depth. All we're doing is we're throwing a flurry of punches right down someone's center line. So as Mark comes in here, maybe I pat this off for here, and I'm just boom, 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 until I get into close quarters. The other option we have is going ahead, working around his attack. Maybe I work off a parry, and I just go ahead and lock on up. I grab the back of the neck, I pull on in, but I lock on up in close quarters. The goal of the entry is to go ahead and get into close quarters. What was the goal with the interception destruction? Inflict a shot of pain. The goal of the entry is to go ahead, put pressure on the person, and to get in that close quarters if at all possible. The next concept that we have right here is what's called the fake. Now, a fake is something that sometimes I go ahead and I talk to people about fakes and they kind of roll their eyes like, oh, okay, well, I've heard of a fake, okay? But do you do a fake, all right? Do you go ahead and use a fake, not just within your sparring, but also in your realistic kind of scenario sparring? We have two kind of basic fakes. We can either go high to low or low to high. What I mean that is that if I have Mark in here, I'm just gonna use the eye jab and groin kick just to kind of keep everything really, really simplistic. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm either gonna fake a high line and land the low line, or I'm gonna fake the low line and land the high line. We talked about the recipe for a fake in a previous video, so please make sure you guys check that on out. But all we're doing here is we're creating an opening with a fake. That's all a fake really accomplishes. And we do that to inflict pain. All right. The final concept that we're going to work here is what's called a hit, H-I-T. Now, why this is all the way down here at the bottom, much less in the smallest little area of this triangle, is very, very important. And I want to talk about, once again, why we use this hierarchy, why we want to use the triangle. But what I really like to focus on is just close quarter shots. We will say elbows, knees, and headbutts, all right? That is just kind of like the trinity there of close quarters combat. Using those tools, we can get a lot of bang for our buck. We can fight outside of our weight class. There's a whole long list of reasons of why you want to learn why and how to fight in close quarters. Please make sure you check out that video as well. But my point is that we have to ask ourselves, when is the best time to use a hit? All right, and I really want you guys to think about this here, is that if I'm going ahead and I'm moving around with Mark, do I just want to go ahead and just pot shot with him, meaning that do I just want to go ahead and start just exchanging blows? We may not, and the reason being is because size and strength hold a lot of water. I don't want to slug it out with someone who is bigger than me, stronger than me, better than me skill-wise. I want to make sure that we, if I could use the word cheat, it's very, very important that we go ahead and we use more intelligent concepts like intercepting or destroying. These are the things that are going to inflict pain in a little bit more of what I call an intelligent way. So as we review these, let me go ahead and make sure that everybody's on the same page. We have 5 main concepts. Are there more concepts? Yes. These are just 5 basic ones that we want to make sure that we have down. We have down the interception. All that means is that we're finding the best place to go ahead and strike somebody, usually from a longer range. We have a destruction. All that means is when someone's coming in and attacking us, we are inflicting damage to that incoming limb. We have the entry, which simply means that we're getting on into close quarters via maybe the straight blast or maybe a lockup. We have a fake, which is maybe faking high, landing low, faking low, landing high. And then last but not least, we have the hit. And the best kind of direct hits that we have are close quarter hits. Elbows, knees, and headbutts, obviously done in a close quarter kind of a setting. So why are we doing this? Why are we learning these 5 concepts? What purpose do they serve, and how can they help us in our sparring for our end game? And once again, our end game is to do one thing. How do we become more proficient fighters outside of the training hall? How do we go ahead and how do we transfer this kind of information to defending ourselves in real life altercations? Well, this is one way that we can do it. We simply assign point values to any of these concepts, and we do so in a hierarchy. I use this triangle because I want you to understand that as we go ahead and we start working through these, the majority of your moves should be focused on intercepting and destroying, okay? And then under that, fill the rest of the time, the rest of the moves in with entries or fakes or even hits. And what we do is we simply assign maybe a point value. So maybe I go 5 points here, 4 points here, 3 points here, 2 points, and maybe just 1 for a hit. Now, how can we use this? Well, when we go ahead and we spar, or when I see people spar, I often ask them, what's the goal of your sparring? What's the point? What's the outcome? What do you want? And a lot of people just kind of look at me and they kind of act confused like a deer in headlights. I want them to have an objective for their sparring. The objective that I think a lot of sparring sessions should have is that how can we go ahead and use the most effective and the most efficient moves to make us the best kind of fighters, the best kind of self-defense practitioners. So if I go ahead and I start sparring with Mark right here and we're moving around and he feeds on in, boom, that's an interception right there. He comes on in, that's another interception right there. Maybe he feeds, maybe I destroy this. Maybe he moves around, but he's maybe being timid, so I'm gonna fake here and land here. Maybe he goes around, maybe I pat down here, get inside here, and I lock up. My point is that now I'm thinking, and I'm thinking in a hierarchical kind of way, and I'm paying attention to what moves I'm using instead of just getting in there and just slugging it out. I'm not saying that every once in a while going ahead and putting in the pads and getting on in there and just throwing hands back and forth and throwing kicks aren't important for conditioning reasons or things like that, but we have to become smarter fighters, and that's the point of this video. I want you to become a smarter fighter by paying attention not only to what you're doing, but why you're doing it as well. So when we go ahead and we spar around, pay attention to what you're doing. Boom, that's a destruction. Well, in my mind, that's 4 points. So if I would have someone else off on the side now keeping track and keeping score, they would just simply write down a 4. Why? Well, because it simply gave me 4 points for that destruction. All right. In my mind, I put more value on these kinds of concepts and techniques than maybe something else really down the line right here. So as we do this, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have 2 students out here just kind of sparring around. And you're gonna see me going ahead and keeping track and keeping score of what they're using so you can see this in real time. We're gonna do this slowly so you can pay attention to really the details here, but this is the point of this drill. It's to go ahead and to reprioritize in your mind what we're doing and why we're doing it. Hey guys, listen, I'm training, but you better be subscribed to this channel, guys. We are always uploading brand new information. We cover so many different topics within this channel. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We cover everything from weapons to mass attack defense, kickboxing, close quarters. Well, there's really a topic we don't cover when it comes to self-defense, so make sure you subscribe to this channel now.